Hi, everyone. This is Fee, and I wanted to talk today about the Prince Harry autobiography or memoir, Spare. Um, just a disclosure, I'm not a royal aficionado. I've never followed uh, the royal family. I do remember as a child all of the fanfare around Princess Diana, but after her unfortunate passing, I don't know if America as a whole, in terms of the press, really followed the royals. And if they did, I just was oblivious to it. However, given, you know, Meghan Markle, an American becoming a princess, and the renewed interest in that, the Oprah interview, and all this, Tyler Perry, like all of these characters who I am familiar with, um, becoming entrenched into this royal story, I was interested, and my interest peaked when Prince Harry of Sussex, I believe that's his formal title, wrote a memoir entitled Spare. And I just want to say that I listened to this on Audible. I used to be very much a traditionalist, but now that I have a commute, I've I've uh, I've decided to maximize that time by renewing my French lessons and also listening to books on Audible. I alternate between fiction and nonfiction, and my nonfiction choice was this Spare. So I won't give a whole synopsis of the book. I will suggest that you read it. Some of the things that I would like to state is just that it was a peek into the upbringing of a very privileged individual who managed to craft or develop a core sense of values that I respect and I wouldn't expect, I'm sorry for the stereotyping, of someone who is royal and privileged and has what we may consider every benefit in terms of um, beautiful homes, never having to worry about finances, access to the best education, uh, just connections with the world and world leaders. Um, I would see that it could be very easy to become a very superficial individual. However, I did not get that sense from Spare, and that's one of the reasons I'm glad I gave it a listen slash read because, um, assuming that he actually wrote the book, which I mean, I believe they're his thoughts, so I shouldn't say that. He seems very introspective, and even some of the more notable faux pas he committed in public, he was able to address and give um, an explanation of his mentality during that time. Most notably, him wearing that Nazi outfit for Halloween. Um, and when he addressed one of his Indian comrades by a slur, he does give a detailed account of um, his thoughts or lack of thought during those moments. And without giving an excuse, just saying that it was wrong and that was his mentality as a boy. I loved how the story is told. I mean, right away, you get his boyhood, his childhood, and the trauma that occurred very early in his life that really shaped um, a lot of his life. And I believe that and the trauma I'm referring to is the crash, I believe it was 1996, forgive me if I'm wrong, that resulted in Dodi, I believe it's Dodi Fayette and Princess Diana's death. And at the time, uh, how the story goes is that the paparazzi were chasing them in flashing lights. They go into this tunnel, this now infamous tunnel, where their car is involved in the crash. Now, how that exactly occurred, per the book, it's still a little bit of speculation because, the official report blames the driver. However, they were being chased, and who knows, what happened in those moments. But the death of his mother severely affected him. And as he grew and learned of the British press, i.e., the paparazzi's role in that, you truly come to understand his disdain, his loathing, deep loathing of the British press, and time travel into the 21st century. We are in the 21st century, right? And how he would make such a dramatic choice, meaning to leave Britain to live in America with his American wife to keep his family safe. And I'd like to say this, that alone is the stuff of fairy tales. You know, you watch those Disney movies and you read stories and ancient fairy tales, and it's always the prince or the king who has this life of luxury, and he finds some common woman, some slave washing at a river or something, and he saves her from her life of struggle or mistreatment by jealous stepmothers and ushers her into a life of luxury and ease. Whereas here you see the opposite. You see someone born into this life of privilege who that he describes how that life is suffocating, how it's a gilded cage, and how you don't have freedom of choice in who you want to marry, your movement even, you know, having bodyguards from childhood because of imminent danger, just because of your position in life where you were born, and no one has a choice in their, you know, where their lot is in life, how they're born. And so that prince leaving that existence to have a life of his own. I mean, it is like the reverse, you know, fairy tale. And I just love how it starts with that trauma, because it is that gaping hole that leads to that is the catalyst almost to him wanting to join the army, his wanderlust, his inability to settle into this royal life that includes this partnership with an institution that he blames for his mother's death. So I came away with a good understanding of his motivation. And, you know, it isn't a Cry Me a River story, because I was telling someone I was reading and they're like, oh, whatever, poor little privileged Harry. And I didn't get that sense. However, there is one story where he's talking about shopping at what I'm assuming is the British equivalent of TJ Maxx. And I'm like, come on now, Harry, you really out here trying to buy irregular pants? No. but he does you know, describe like his girlfriends and things of that nature, and how, you know, he married late in life for some, which not by American standards. But what I also truly love was his depiction of his love for Meghan Markle. Like even how they met and how he did a double take, and no woman has ever caused him to do a double take in his life, and how he swore to protect her, and just that beauty of meeting someone and knowing that they're the one and you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen and keep them safe. And it's the stuff of fairy tales, I'm telling you. So I say it's worth a listen. No, I can't relate to being a British royal, although I do believe I'm royalty. But I do, and I think you can relate to the humanity of it, grief, because grief discriminates with no one, you know, poor, rich, young, old. Tragedy doesn't discriminate. Having this, trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life, how to make an impact. Like there's some very human moments that I think anyone can relate to. For that reason, I would recommend Spare.